Think about the last time you felt completely safe. Maybe it was your own neighborhood, a street you've walked 100 times, a route so familiar you don't even have to think about it. Now imagine that's the last walk you ever take. Adrienne Robert was 29 years old. She had a smile that filled every room she walked into, a laugh her mother said was truly one of a kind. She had a business she'd built herself, a man she loved, and a future that was just starting to take shape. On the night of July 13th, 2012, she was celebrating the last night in her apartment. Moving day was tomorrow, and just over a mile away, the man she was going to spend her life with was setting up their new home. She decided to walk. She had done it before. It was a mile. It was familiar. It was fine. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that someone inside that bar had already been watching her. And the moment she stood up to leave, he made a decision. If you've never heard this case, stay close, because the way it was solved is as remarkable as what was lost. Subscribe before the next case finds you unprepared. You'll want to know this one. Adrienne grew up in Maine, not the kind of place people usually associate with big ambitions. But Adrienne wasn't the kind of person who stayed small. She had a gift for design and a hunger for more. After university, she landed a role as a page designer at the Sun Journal. And then one day she packed up her life and headed south to Clearwater, Florida. Sun, warmth, bigger opportunities. Her mother, Dolores, who everyone called Lori, described her as a little firecracker from the time she was young. Energy that couldn't be contained. A social instinct that made everyone around her feel like they were the most important person in the room. After working her way through several high-level positions in events planning and marketing, Adrienne did what a lot of people dream about and almost nobody actually does. She started her own business. Splatter Concepts Incorporated. Her name, her vision, her terms. She was 29 years old and she was just getting started. Her home life matched the energy. She shared a townhouse with her roommate Jay, and the two of them had built a real friendship, the kind that comes from years of late nights, shared spaces, and knowing exactly how someone takes their coffee. But things were shifting in the best possible way. Her boyfriend Justin was the kind of man her family had quietly hoped for. Steady, devoted. Her dad, Mark, liked him immediately. So much so that Justin had already pulled Mark aside and told him his plan. He was going to propose on Adrienne's 30th birthday. A ring, a question, a whole new chapter. It was almost here. The future she'd been building was finally right in front of her. July 13th, 2012. Moving day was tomorrow, which meant tonight was the send-off. The last night as roommates. The end of one era. The beginning of something bigger. Adrienne was in full celebration mode. She called Justin that evening, just to check in, just to hear his voice. He told her he was busy setting things up at the new house. She told him she and Jay might head to a couple of bars or maybe stay in and watch a film. He said that sounded perfect. They said goodnight. After a couple of drinks at their place, Adrienne and Jay set off on foot. They had a destination in mind. Diamond Dolls, a strip club just over a mile away. Somewhere they'd been plenty of times before. Familiar ground. They arrived at around 10:30 in the evening. 3 hours passed. Drinks flowed. It was a good night. At 1:30 in the morning, Adrienne decided she was done. She was moving tomorrow. She'd had a lot to drink. It was time. Jay was going to stay a little longer. She said her goodbyes, stepped out onto the street, and instead of calling a cab, the same as she had done before on this exact same route, she decided to walk. 1 mile, a familiar road, the same as always. What she didn't know was that someone had noticed her leaving. And seconds after she walked out that door, he was right behind her. Jay left Diamond Dolls about 2 hours after Adrienne. He walked home, the same route, and let himself into the townhouse. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Most of Adrienne's things were packed up and stacked near the door, ready for the morning. He called her name. Nothing. He headed upstairs. The bathroom door was closed. He pushed it open. Adrienne was on the floor, blood everywhere.
911, is this a police, fire, or medical emergency?
Medical.
Tell me what happened.
I just came home. My roommate, we went out together. She came home a while ago, and she's not moving.
Okay, so she's unresponsive?
Completely.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
I mean, she's got blood all over her. There's no response from her. Like, her eyes are open, and they're dilated.
Is she breathing?
No, there's nothing.
You can't see her breathing at all?
No, that's just nothing.
Listen carefully. I need you to place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of her chest.
Okay.
Put your other hand on top of that hand. Now listen carefully. You're going to pump the chest hard and fast at least twice per second. We're going to do this 600 times or until help can take over.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to count with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count out loud. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm not standing there.
Just keep going, okay? The paramedics are coming as fast as they can.
Jay did everything the dispatcher told him to do, but by the time medics arrived, it was already too late. Adrienne Roberts was pronounced dead at the scene. She was 29 years old. She was found wearing only her bra. She had a single stab wound to the chest. Her body was covered in bruising. And the scene, the bathroom, the bed, the blood, told a story the detectives had seen before: sexual assault. But there was one detail that stood out more than the others. The soles of her feet were shredded, badly cut, beaten up. The kind of damage you get from running outside with no shoes on, fast, for a long way. There was no forced entry, no broken locks, no smashed windows. Whoever had gotten inside that apartment, she had either let them in or they had followed her through the door. The crime scene itself was frenzied. The toilet seat was cracked and bloodied. The shower curtain was covered in it. There was blood in the bathtub, blood on the walls, bloody fingerprints on the doorframe outside the bathroom. Her killer had tried to clean up. Detectives found that a roughly 10-inch section of her bedsheet had been cut away. Someone trying to remove DNA evidence. But they hadn't been careful enough. DNA was still on Adrienne's body. DNA was still on the mattress beneath where the sheet had been cut. And those bloody fingerprints on the door and walls outside the bathroom, those were still there too. Her killer had left something behind. They just didn't know it yet. One more thing. Her car keys gone from the hook downstairs, and her orange Jeep gone from the parking space outside. The entire block was sealed off. A major investigation was now underway, and a very dangerous person was somewhere out there. We've covered cases where evidence like this changed everything. Subscribe, so you're here when the next one breaks. Back in Maine, Adrienne's mother, Lori, answered her phone. The voice on the other end was a detective. The first question was simple and devastating in equal measure. Is Adrienne Roberts your daughter? Is she okay? No. Is she alive? No. Lori screamed and threw her phone against the wall. Her husband, Mark, came running in and picked it up. He later said that hearing the words from the detective made him feel like he had come out of his own body. Like it couldn't be real. Like it was happening to someone else. They set off for Clearwater immediately. Meanwhile, Justin was on his way to Adrienne's place. Excited, ready for moving day, probably already thinking about how the new apartment was going to look once her boxes were inside. He pulled up and saw the yellow crime scene tape. Her parking space was empty. His first thought, maybe someone had stolen her Jeep. Terrible timing, obviously, but that had to be it. He parked up and walked over to one of the officers. What Justin thought was a stolen car turned out to be the beginning of his worst nightmare. He was spoken to, devastated and very quickly eliminated from the investigation. He had no idea who could have done this. No enemies that she'd mentioned. No one with a motive. Nothing. The investigation pointed almost immediately to a stranger. Someone either in the club that night or someone on the street who had followed her home. A short time after the scene was processed, Adrianne's Jeep was found, a few blocks away, parked in a mall lot. And there was someone on camera. Grainy footage. Dark. Not great quality. But enough to give investigators a figure. Someone getting out of the car and calmly sauntering away through the parking lot like they hadn't just left the scene of a murder. It gave them more timings to work with. A direction. A window. Then, a witness came forward. A local resident said he'd seen a young woman that night, holding her shoes in one hand, her bag in the other, moving fast down the street alongside a young black male. He said it struck him as odd. It was late. She wasn't walking. She was moving like someone who needed to be somewhere else. And now, thinking about what her feet looked like when she was found, it tracked. She had run. She had run hard, barefoot, all the way home, tearing up her feet in the process. Whether she had tried to get away from him, or whether something else had happened first that set her running, investigators couldn't say yet. What they did know was this. The crime happened in the 2-hour window between Adrienne leaving the club at 1:30 and Jay coming home at 3:30. It wasn't a wide window. It helped narrow things down. They went back to Diamond Dolls, and what they found on that footage would change everything. Jay gave investigators a description.
So while you were at the strip club, you said you had interactions with several people.
We went out to the stage and we sat down there. Eventually a guy joined us there.
This guy that joined you, what did he look like?
Had a goatee.
Is he a white guy or black guy?
He was African American.
Okay.
Seemed nice enough. He had some kind of baseball hat, I'd want to say.
During their time at Diamond Dolls, he and Adrienne had struck up a conversation with a man at the bar. He'd been there a while, drinking steadily. He was young, probably in his early 20s, with a goatee, a baseball cap that may have had the word Boston on it, and a slim build, not particularly tall. Seemed friendly enough. He sat with them near one of the stages. When Adrienne got up to leave, the man turned to Jay and asked where she was going, and then, quietly, he got up too. Jay said it in his own words. She said she wanted to go. And I remember this guy saying something along the lines of, "Oh, where's she going?" I was like, I think she's leaving. And I do remember him getting up because she was no longer there. Investigators reviewed the footage from inside Diamond Dolls. Adrienne walked out the door at 1:38 in the morning. Seconds later, the man followed her. He was carrying something, her sweater which she had left on the chair. He handed it to her outside. They talked for a moment. And then they walked off in the same direction, turned right at the end of the road, toward her house. Detectives learned that this man had arrived at Diamond Dolls at 5 p.m., more than 8 hours before Adrienne left, by taxi. He had been drinking the entire time. The taxi company was able to pull the phone number linked to that booking. That number was already in a police database. It had been logged by Clearwater PD in connection with a prior suspicious persons case, and that number belonged to Thomas Frederick. He had no meaningful criminal record, which, for a crime this violent, was unusual. It meant no DNA sample on file. No easy match. So detectives put him under surveillance. For 2 weeks, wherever Thomas Frederick went, they were there, watching, waiting, looking for the moment he discarded something they could send for testing. Then he flicked a cigarette out of a car window. They had him. The lab was asked to rush the process. This was a priority. If Thomas Frederick was Adrienne's killer, he could disappear at any moment, leave the city, leave the state. They needed the results fast. They came back positive. Thomas Frederick had killed Adrienne Robert. When detectives arrested Thomas Frederick and brought him in, they noticed something that unsettled them immediately. He was calm, almost chatty. They showed him a photo of Adrienne. He acknowledged her right away. Yes, he remembered talking to her at Diamond Dolls. They had drinks. They danced. He went to work the next morning like any other Friday night. He bought me drinks, we danced at the club, met a friend, had some more drinks, went to work, probably before, depending on if I needed cigarettes or not. Detectives showed him the footage, him following Adrienne out of the club with her sweater, the two of them turning down the road toward her house. He said he barely remembered doing that until he saw the tape. Have you ever been to her house? He said if he had, he didn't remember it. Have you ever been to her house? They asked again. If I did, I really don't remember. I told you, when I drink, I drink. Then the story began to shift. Suddenly, he said, she had asked him to walk her home. And as for the running, why were they both running down the street? He said she just wanted to run. He wasn't chasing her. He was following her lead. Then came the DNA evidence. And just like that, the story changed again. Now, he said, back at her apartment, she had thrown up. They had consensual sex. And then, quote, all hell broke loose. According to Thomas, she grabbed a knife from the bathroom and came at him. He tried to defend himself. He wrestled it from her. She was stabbed in the process. It was self-defense, he said. A terrible accident. Detectives did not believe a single word. We've all watched someone try to rewrite the story when the evidence closes in. Subscribe. Be here for the verdict. Thomas Frederick pleaded not guilty. His defense's argument was built around two pillars, self-defense and doubt. They pointed out that Adrienne was taller than Thomas, that she outweighed him. They described him as young, immature, scared. His lawyer told the jury, just because someone is young and frightened and acts defensively, it doesn't automatically make them a murderer. But the prosecution had a different picture to paint. From the moment Thomas watched Adrienne stand up and walk toward the door of that club, they said he knew exactly what he intended to do. He followed her. He ran behind her as she fled without her shoes. And when she reached her apartment, possibly trying to stay calm, possibly thinking that letting him in to use the bathroom or get some water was the safest way to end the situation, he pulled out a knife. He raped her on her bed. He forced her into the bathroom. He stabbed her once in the chest. The prosecution walked the jury through the bruising on Adrienne's arms. Not consistent with someone fighting back with a weapon. Consistent with being pinned down, the injuries told the story of someone restrained, not attacking. There are also reports that Adrienne had been sick at some point, possibly in the bathroom, possibly because of how much she had drunk. Thomas himself mentioned this in his account. The prosecution used it deliberately. She was intoxicated, physically vulnerable. There is no universe, they argued, in which a woman in that condition grabbed a knife and came at anyone. Despite what the evidence strongly suggested, Thomas was not formally charged with rape. The prosecution said the physical evidence for that specific charge fell short of what was needed. But they presented the theory to the jury in full. The trial lasted 4 days. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty of first-degree murder. Thomas Frederick was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Galtieri put it plainly, "We got a real bad guy off the street. This is the most dangerous kind of crime because he was willing to take somebody he didn't know and rape and kill her." The arrest news reached Adrienne's parents on a day that meant something else entirely. It was Mark and Lori's 25th wedding anniversary. Mark's sister said that when the news came through, her brother called it the best gift they could have received that day. Think about that for a moment. 25 years of marriage, and the greatest thing that happened on their anniversary was learning that the man who murdered their daughter was going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. Justice doesn't undo the damage. It never does. But it matters. Justin struggled for a long time after July 2012. He moved to Orlando, trying to put distance between himself and everything he had lost. The moving van, the crime scene tape, the empty parking space where her Jeep should have been. His mother, Debbie, refused to stop hoping for him. She prayed every night that her son would find someone who made him happy again. And then, years later, something happened that is genuinely difficult to explain. Justin reconnected with a woman named Amy. They had actually known each other as children, 30 years earlier, back when they were just kids. His mother had a photo of them together from that time. They met at a restaurant, and somehow, after everything, it worked. Both Justin and Amy believe that Adrianne had something to do with it. Their guardian angel, quietly making sure he didn't spend the rest of his life alone. He said it himself, everybody knew she wouldn't want me to be sad and by myself forever. Amy said, you don't find love, it finds you, and it has to do with destiny. As for Lori, Adrianne's mother, she keeps her iPad close, because it's the only place she can still watch videos of her daughter, still hear her laugh, still see that smile. She wrote a tribute that has stayed with me since I first read it. Your smile will be forever bright in all of us who had the pleasure to know you, to love you, and to hold you. I was so proud of you for making things happen in your life and standing firm on all your ideas. With all of your artistic talents, keep painting the sky full of beauty and many rainbows. I will be watching. One last thing, if the cameras hadn't been outside Diamond Dolls that night, if the cab company hadn't kept that phone number, if Thomas hadn't tossed that cigarette, he might still be free today. His DNA wasn't on file. There was nothing automatic about catching him. It took meticulous, patient, determined detective work, and a cigarette on a road. Adrienne Robert deserved every bit of that effort. She deserved the ring on her finger, the birthday proposal, the life she was walking toward. She just wanted to walk home. If you're not subscribed, you're missing cases like this every week. Don't be left behind. Hit subscribe. And if something's still holding you back, drop it in the comments. We want to hear from you. Rest easy, Adrienne.